Hi there. So right now it's for me, it's kind of late at night and it's getting late into October and I'm spending my evening sitting around with two bad cats that keep running around trying to mess up this video. I swear I'm already on my fifth take. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is that it's late at night and it's getting into October. So of course, I'm thinking about Halloween. I was thinking I should put on my cowgirl boots and spin and tell y'all a spinning Halloween story. Wanted to come up with the scariest spinning story I could. And I'm not so sure that this is scary, but it'll have to do. Um, of course, I'm spinning because I love it, because it's a passion, but there was a time when women had to spin all the time, every evening, whether they wanted to or not. You either spun or you didn't have anything to make clothes out of. You spun or you went naked, you and your family. That's not all. I mean, spinning was so common and it was such a valuable skill and it was almost always done by women that the idea of spinning and weaving and all the other textile crafts were a symbol of female power. I mean, there is a reason why almost every goddess, every important mother goddess in every tradition is shown with some sort of textile making implement, a loom or a wheel, or back in the early ones, a drop spindle and a distaff. A distaff was it was like a stick that you used with your loose roving or flax, and you wound that around your stick, and it either stayed mounted on your wheel or you carried it up against your shoulder if you were spinning with a drop spindle. But either way, distaff was synonymous with women and female power. I mean, there used to be the saying, the distaff side of the family, which meant your mother's side of the family. And I'm telling you, spinners were perceived as having power, sometimes magical powers, sometimes the power over life and death. There are stories in almost every culture about spinners and weavers that can determine your fate, how long you live and what happens to you and when you die. And of course, I'm going to start with the ancient Greeks, because the ancient Greeks had lots of myths. And they're very well preserved. They're very well preserved and translated in almost every language. See, if you were an ancient Greek, you definitely believed in fate. You believed in destiny, and your destiny was set, and there really wasn't anything you could do to change it, because fate wasn't just an idea. Fate was a woman. Actually, it was three women. It was three sisters, and they came to visit you on your third day, 3 days after you were born. Fate would come, and they'd take a look at you in your crib or in all swaddled up in your birthing clothes, and they would, I don't know, maybe they would poke you and shake you and hold you upside down, but they'd get a real good look at you, and they would decide the course of your life. And then they would go back to their little hideout, to their little three fate sisters cave, and they would set your fate in yarn. There were three sisters, and of course they have great names, and of course I'm probably going to mispronounce them. But the first one was Clotho, and she was the spinner. She spun out the thread of your life. And the second one was Lachesis, or at least that's the best I can do pronouncing it. And she measured out the thread of your life. This third sister was Atropos, and she cut the thread of your life. So you have three sisters with three different tasks, and the spinner is your birth, and the measure is your life, and the woman who cuts is your death. And that's how the Greeks, that was their metaphor for life. Their metaphor for life was literally in handspun. And when the thread of your life was cut, that was it. Nothing you could do. It had been determined on the third day. So there's some stories that are similar to that in Celtic mythology. The Hindus have three goddesses that spin and weave and determine your course of your life. But I'm going to skip over to the Norse myths, because you can always count on the Norse to have something really gory and bloody and scary because, yeah, they like that. I guess that's why Hollywood is always ripping off stories from Norse mythology to make into movies. Norse have the Valkyries, which were the warrior goddesses. They were the battle babes. I mean, come on, they were sexy, gorgeous, really, really dangerous women that would fly in with bloody swords on their dark steeds and cause strife and havoc and enjoy warcraft and battle and death. And there is battle poem of the Valkyries. On the eve of a large battle, 12 Valkyries get together to decide who lives and who dies. And how do they do this? Well, with their loom, of course. I mean, how else would you decide who gets to live and who dies, right? So these 12 warrior goddesses set up a loom and start to weave. They weave the web of battle, but not just any old loom. Oh no. Let's see. In an English translation of the original poem, it starts with blood rains from the cloudy web on the broad loom of slaughter. The web of man, gray as armor, is now being woven. The Valkyries will cross it with a crimson weft. So they have basically the scariest loom in the history of ever, because the warp is made of guts. It's made of human intestines. And they use heads, human heads, for heddle weights. Let's see, the heddle rods are blood-wet spears. And the arrows are their shuttles, and they use their swords to weave their tapestry of battle. And they spend all night at it, singing and dancing and waving their bloody swords around and having a grand old time. And when dawn comes, they've woven their tapestry. They know exactly how the battle is going to go and all the twists and turns and who lives and who dies. And then they break down their loom, and all 12 take a piece with them, and they fly off into the sky and get ready for the battle. Let's see. Let us ride our horses hard on bare backs with sword unsheaths away from here. So these were like really badass weavers, and they wove in life and death. So that must be why there are so many superstitions about women who spin and women who weave. Now, there is one that I read, and of course I didn't bookmark it, and now I can't find it when I need it. But the Romans had a lot of superstitions, particularly about spinners. They had prohibitions against a woman appearing in public with a distaff or a spindle, because they believed that it was bad luck to look upon a woman as she spun. Why? Well, because you never know. I mean, some women are just sitting around making, yarn and thread, but some women are determining the course of mortal fate. They are literally deciding who's going to die tonight. So, just remember that. Remember that. On Halloween, remember to be nice to all ladies, and particularly the ones that play with yarn, because you never know. They could be sitting there making a little baby blanket, or they could just very well be deciding who gets to live through the night. Yeah. Happy Halloween, and I don't know about you, but I'll keep on spinning. Till next time.